Hi, friends. Happy Monday. We made it through Monday. And I am joining here again this evening for Marketing Advice Monday. I'm going to give folks just a couple minutes to trickle in here, and we will go ahead and get started. If you are joining me, say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're joining from. If you're catching the replay, just drop a hashtag replay there in the comments. I will still revisit your comments, your questions, even if you're catching this a little bit later if you weren't able to join us live. There are a lot of new folks and new faces here in this group. So if this is the first time you're catching one of our lives together, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Anna Walker. I am a web and marketing strategist that helps private practitioners just like you get booked out with clients they love and who love them. And a lot of what we talk about here is what marketing actually is. Hey, Andrea, thanks so much for joining. We talk about what marketing actually is, what it isn't, what it means to be a private practitioner and to market yourself. And the fact that marketing is about not just being effective, but also being authentic. In the field that you find yourself in as a private practitioner, it's really important that you're coming across in a way that's really genuine. And so I help you kind of navigate that because there are a lot of strategies out there, and ultimately kind of why I have decided to work with people like you is because there's a lot of information out there that should you take it will kind of be detrimental to you. It might feel slimy, or it might feel just not right or salesy to you as you're trying to grow your practice, and it doesn't have to be like that. So that is what this group is all about. Marketing Advice Monday is all about answering your biggest questions around marketing. And as you may have seen, I put out a poll yesterday, I believe, asking what question you wanted answered here today. And this was the one: how do I start marketing my practice? Which is a really, really great question. And you don't have to be brand new in private practice to be wondering that. It's possible that maybe you got started just kind of bootstrapping it, and now you're really ready to start putting a strategy behind what you're doing. And so this can help you do that. What I'm really excited about is I actually developed a checklist for you as part of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that link into the comments. So if you're joining from your computer, or if you come back and revisit this, you're able to grab that link. And that is a checklist that walks you through my 6-week zero to launched plan for starting to market your private practice. It is the process I take my clients through, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, let's talk just a little bit first. Let's all kind of level set on what marketing actually is, because it might feel a little bit scary. Different people might talk about it in different ways. And like I just talked about, maybe it feels a little bit scary to you because anytime you think about marketing, it's about being salesy or pushy or slimy. And that's the opposite, of course, of what you want to be doing if you're bringing in clients that you're going to build a relationship with. So let's kind of level set on what marketing is and what it's not. Marketing, it's actually defined by a really well-known marketing strategist. He says marketing is the generous act of helping others solve problems, their problems. If you can think about marketing that way, as you being a guide in getting someone's problems solved, the problems that they're facing, perhaps with you as the solution, that just makes marketing seem a lot more approachable. It makes it seem a lot more authentic and a lot more just about connection and relationship. We talk about that a lot in this group, that good marketing is just about connection. And you, as a private practitioner, as a therapist, as a counselor, are already really good at connecting with people. You're already really good at it. So you have that down. And if you can just lean into that, if you can just lean in to your ability to connect to people, you can be a good marketer. You totally can. What I'm going to do is give you some of the strategies that you can apply those innate, just natural skills that you have in a way that actually moves the needle and helps you bring in clients. So marketing is about a couple of things. If it's the generous act of helping people solve their problems, then how do you do that? I mean, how do you as a private practitioner help your clients solve problems by showing them that you're the one for them? In order to connect, in order to really form that relationship that we just talked about, they have to know that you exist. So that's the first place that we start. They have to know you. After that, they have to like you. They have to really form a genuine connection. There's an emotional level, right, to them deciding to work with you. And then they have to trust you. So they have to know you. They have to know you exist. They have to like you. And then they have to trust you. So that's what marketing is about. It's about crossing or kind of checking all three of those boxes and driving action from someone that's interested in you, someone that does know about you, does like you, and ultimately does trust you. And how do we get them there? So that is what marketing is. Now, how do you start doing that? How does a private practitioner like you who wants to get booked out with clients they love start marketing themselves? It happens in three main steps. The first step is that we're going to build a foundation. You wouldn't open up your private practice if you practice in person, or same with if you have an online space. You would not open up your practice without a place to actually see your clients. You wouldn't do that because you wouldn't be able to be effective. In the same way, when you're marketing yourself, you can't go out and market yourself without a place to bring people into. And that is, of course, just kind of centered around your website. Your website is your number one marketing tool. If people tell you otherwise, it's simply not true. Stats show that 85% of people will visit your website before ever reaching out to you. They'll revisit your website between 3 and 7 times before deciding to work with you. Your website is critical. It is absolutely critical, and it's a place that you can own. You're not building your practice on someone else's turf on Psychology Today or something like that. If you can own your website and own what's happening there, then you are in control of how your marketing works. So first, we got to build that connection. We have to have build that foundation. We have to have a place where people can come to us. So that's kind of where we're going to start, and that's what I'll walk you through in that 6-week plan. Then we're going to lean on your existing network. The fact is that you have people in your circle locally and just maybe even online that could be great referral sources. These might be past advisors. These might be your physician. This might be friends of yours that own yoga studios. You can be really creative about the network that you have, but the fact is that if you have formed a personal connection with someone in the past, leaning on that network is absolutely free marketing. It is free. And if you know how to do it right, if you do some initial work to really figure out how to position yourself and how to talk to those people, those can be really productive conversations that don't take you a whole ton of time and don't have a whole ton of investment, but have way higher return on your investment because you already have a connection with these people. So you're going to touch base back with these people that already know, like, and trust you, and therefore can send people your way. So we'll talk through that. And then last but not least, to start marketing yourself, I really want you to start finding low-hanging fruit. They're really easy things where you don't have to invest a lot of time or money in order to start letting people know that you're out there so that they know you, like you, and trust you. So that's what this plan is all centered around. And that is what I want to walk you through now. So if you have a chance, if you haven't yet, go ahead and click into that link. If you're not able to, maybe you're on your phone or something like that, we'll walk through it and then come back and revisit it. You don't have to enter your email or anything. I'm offering it just totally free to this group because I want you to be able to follow along and really act on what we're talking about here. So we're going to go quickly through all 6 weeks. This is exactly what I take my own clients through when they're getting ready to start marketing themselves. So this is a really, really great practice. And I'm going to walk you through why, what, and why step by step. So first of all, week 1, we'll take that as this week. So today is Monday, right? There's 3 things we're going to do in week 1. Number 1 is identify our niche. We talk about niching all the time in this group. You've probably heard it talked about. Niching is important because if you're trying to talk to everyone, if you're trying to attract everyone, you will attract no one. You have to be able to be specific in who you're targeting, in what you're saying to them, and in the value that you're offering them in order for it to be compelling. So the way that I like to kind of coach my clients through this is instead of casting a wide net, I want you to cast a deep net. I want you to choose the niche, choose the 1 or 2 populations that you, A, are really passionate about, B, are really well equipped to serve, and C, are out there. That is what makes a good niche. You're passionate about it, you're able to help them, and they're out there. Private practices can have multiple niches. It's not to say that you have to serve 18 to 21-year-olds with body image issues. You don't have to be that focused, but you do need to have some sort of red thread, something that ties your entire practice together and all of your offers. And that is what makes a really compelling niche. So in this first week, you're going to identify what that niche is if you haven't already. Do some research. If you're interested in a live where we talk just about niching, I would be happy to do that. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But this first week, I really want you to focus in on what is my niche. Who do I serve? Who am I passionate about? And who do I know is out there that I can help? Then I want you to do some client research. This can be things like popping into Facebook groups where, say you're a grief counselor, a grief therapist. Maybe you pop into some grief-related Facebook groups, some forums online. I want you to just do a little bit of research, trying to get to know who this ideal client is. What is it that makes them tick? Why are they seeking therapy or counseling out at this point in their life? What's the tipping point? How are they describing their problems? I want you to do some research, gather up some information, and really get to know your niche, get to know your ideal client that you would love to start booking. Because the better you can know them, the better you can market yourself, the better you can make yourself knowable, likable, and trustable by those people, right? So we really want to be geared towards that one individual client that we're doing research on. So that second thing, you're going to do client research. And then the third thing, you're going to decide on a website platform this week. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll work on building out that website, but it's important kind of upfront just because there's some logistics that are involved, of course, with building out a website. If you don't yet have one, Squarespace is my #1 recommendation if you are comfortable managing your website on your own. Squarespace has some really great simple templates. Their interface in the back end is drag and drop. You do not have to be a website designer to make a really pretty site. They offer a lot of really great SEO options so that you can really optimize yourself and make sure that Google is finding you. Squarespace is just a really nice sweet spot between all of the kind of website platforms out there. If not Squarespace, I would recommend WordPress, which is a little bit more technical. So if you're a little bit more comfortable in that way, WordPress has some really robust options when it comes to blogging and SEO and all things like that. So that's another great option. Or perhaps if you're not comfortable managing your own website, then look into services like Brighter Vision. Brighter Vision requires that you provide content to them. And everything that I've heard is that you have to be very specific with Brighter Vision. You have to tell them exactly what you want, because if you don't, you will get a pretty website that is not effective. So keep that in mind as we kind of look through some of the resources in this group. If you decide to use Brighter Vision to really build out website content and a website layout that is actually going to be effective and drive results. Because I want you to have more than a pretty website. We talked about that last week. So week 1, 3 things. Identify your niche, do client research, get to know that ideal client, and then decide on where your website is going to live. And if maybe you already have a website, maybe you're watching this and you're like, I've already done that part. Awesome. Hold on. Do some more client research. There's nothing wrong with continuing to research and get to know your ideal client. Okay, week 2, I want you to write your practice messages. If that isn't ringing a bell, revisit last week's Facebook Live, last week's Marketing Advice Monday, where I talked about those 3 messages and how to write them. The reason that practice messages are so critical, and the reason I'm having you do them so early in this process, the reason I have all of my clients do them so early, is because if you do the hard work to write these practices early on in your business, in launching your practice, launching your marketing strategies, you will simplify everything moving forward. If you can land on a couple key messages, a couple statements, a couple paragraphs, an elevator pitch about yourself, where you know how to communicate your value, you know why you're different from the other practitioners in your space, you know the ultimate results and the value that you provide your ideal client. If you build those really early in your process, you'll know way more easily what to say on your website. You'll know way more easily what to write in your Psychology Today profile, what to blog about, all those kinds of things. So I want you to spend a good amount of time in this second week writing your practice messages. They should be revised and worked on, and it'll take a little bit of time. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I will come back and pop a link into the comments to that Marketing Advice Monday video. And it's also linked in the PDF if you have that open, the plan there. The next one is to have a headshot taken. I cannot stress enough how much you as a therapist, how much having a good headshot matters. That is how most people are going to make an immediate judgment and immediate connection with you, right? We connect as humans with good eye contact. We make immediate judgments based on images, and your headshot needs to be prominent in every place that you market yourself. You need to have a really strong headshot living there on your Psychology Today profile. There needs to be one on your About page. You do not want the first time someone sees your face to be when they come into your office, right? If you can make that connection, if you can have a really warm headshot that connects with people right away and it starts to communicate yourself visually, the way that you're also communicating yourself in your words and ultimately how you communicate yourself in sessions, then you've lowered a barrier, right? You don't want to call someone that you don't know who they are or what they look like or anything like that. As something as simple as a headshot can be so powerful. I cannot stress this enough. So have a headshot taken in this second week. If you don't have a professional headshot, Google one in your area. Oftentimes professional photographers will offer a really quick, 10-minute session for a really low price point, and you will see returns on that. And you'll be able to use it for years, assuming you don't, dye your hair pink or something like that. So have a good headshot. Cannot stress that enough. And then now I want you to start making a list of those referral contacts that I was just talking about a little bit earlier. I want you to get a little bit creative. Who in your area, who in your space could you talk to once you relaunch your launch or relaunch your website and are ready to start marketing yourself? Who might be able to provide a contact to you? So this might be, like I mentioned, a friend of yours that owns a yoga studio or that teaches at a yoga studio. This might be your physician, your chiropractor. This might be your advisors. These are other therapists in your network. What I don't want you to do is just go running out and talking to these people. I want you to do some of this initial work so that when you go to them, you have a really kind of firm way to communicate yourself and a really just clear way to communicate what it is that you do and how you've kind of done some work since maybe you guys last talked. So it's likely that they know that you're a therapist, but if you're going through this 6-week plan, by the end of these 6 weeks, you're going to be in a different place. You're going to have an effective website. You're going to have those practice messages. You're going to know who you are. You're going to know who your private practice is and who you're geared toward. And that means you can make a way more compelling connection with those past contacts than if you were just like, hey, I opened my private practice, so if you have anyone that you could send to me, go ahead and do that. That is not nearly as compelling as, hey, I have started to really devote myself to men and women later in life that are walking through grief. If you come across any of those people and you feel like they could benefit from working with someone and talking to someone, I would love to be that person. Please keep me in mind. How much more compelling is that? That's because you've done that hard work of identifying your niche, of writing your practice messages, and eventually through these 6 weeks, also building out a really effective website. So in this second week, you are writing your practice messages, having your headshot taken, and making a list, just starting to make a list of your referral contacts. Ideally, this is 10 to 20 people that you would feel comfortable reconnecting with via email, maybe inviting to coffee, that could serve as a referral source for you once you have done the hard work of launching or relaunching your website and really identifying what it is that you do. So week three, you just have one task, and that is to write your website content. A lot of the talk that we do in this group, and a lot of what I have learned being in marketing my entire career, is that design attracts, but words sell. And that means that words need your attention. The words that are happening on your website are critical. If you don't yet have my free guide, where I walk you through exactly what needs to be on your homepage in order to be effective, go grab that. It's at the top of the group right there on the right. But you need to focus on the words on your website. So this week, I want you to not think about design. I want you to not think about the templates or the colors that you're using. And I just want you to write your homepage, your about page, and your specialty pages. The thing I'll note about this is that in order to have an effective website, both in the eyes of Google and in the eyes of your client, in the eyes of your reader, you really need to break up your services or your counseling, whatever you might call it, into individual pages. So that might be Maybe within your niche, you do couples counseling and individual counseling, or couples counseling and family counseling. Those things need to be separate web pages. And the reason for that is, in the eyes of Google, that shows that you're way more focused. And you can use keywords and some SEO type things that will really show Google, hey, on this page, I do just couples counseling, and they will be way more likely to rank you for couples counseling. Over here on this page is where I do family counseling. Now rank me for this one. So it helps Google understand what it is that you do, but it also helps your potential client understand what you do. So if you talk about in general what you do on your homepage, and then they're able to navigate to, they know whether they're looking for family or couples counseling. If they're able to navigate to a couples counseling page that speaks directly to the problems they're having with their husband, that's going to be way more powerful in doing that know, like, and trust thing than if you're just talking generally about, well, I work with clients and families and sometimes individuals, and sometimes the sessions are 30 minutes if you're an individual, and they're 90 if you're a couple. If you're starting to get more wordy like that and less specific, it's going to be less compelling for your reader. So that's the thing I'll note about writing your website content. I want you to have individual pages for the individual services or specialties that you have inside of your practice. So you're going to spend an entire week just dedicating yourself to that content. That is a project I do for clients that takes me between 4 and 6 weeks. So you're gonna squeeze it all into a single week, and it doesn't mean you can't iterate on it in the future. But this is something that I really want you to dedicate yourself to, because the words you're using on your website are so incredibly, incredibly powerful. So that's week 4. We're halfway through. That's week 3. We are halfway through now. It's week 4. Week 4 is where you're going to spend time actually building and launching your website. So that is where you can play around a little bit with your colors. You can play around with the template that you're using, and you're going to apply all of the content. You're going to implement the copy that you've written onto your website in a way that people can actually see and navigate to. So you're going to use that platform you decided on in week 1. You're going to use the copy that you wrote in week 3, and you're going to put it all together in week 4 and build out a website. If you have a website already, you probably know that doing that usually takes longer than you think it will. So an entire week dedicated to this is definitely safe to say you will use that whole week. And I want you to dedicate just a couple hours per day to building out this site, going ahead and pushing it live, letting the world know that you're out there. Google will start to crawl your site. Those robots will start to read what you have going on and rank you. And you will finally have now a place that you can send people to. So now we can do the actual marketing, right? Now we've built the foundation. We have a place to bring people, those contacts that we're going to reach out to, the other marketing tactics I'm going to talk about. We have a place to send them to. We have a home base, right? It's like the virtual front door to your practice. We've built it and we've launched it. So in these 4 weeks, you figured out who you are, how to talk about it, and how to make it live and available to the world in your website. So the last 2 weeks are going to be about leveraging that low-hanging fruit I talked about. What are some of those simpler, easy marketing tactics that are a little bit more set it and forget it than more complex marketing, which we'll talk about down the road. So in week 5, I want you to do 3 things. Number 1, create a Google My Business profile. Drop that into Google. As you can imagine, Google will happily provide you results on how to set up a Google My Business profile. It's totally free. And what Google My Business does is it shows Google, hey, I'm a local business. This is all of my information, and here's how you can find me. If you've ever searched for a restaurant or perhaps a therapist yourself, anything that lives locally, a store or a shop in your town, they often show up on the right side with results that are local, and they'll show you the any reviews associated with that, the address, the phone, website, all of those kinds of things. So I want you to build out a really complete Google My Business profile. This is, like I said, totally free and a huge help when it comes to SEO, a huge help in showing Google that you're legit and that you're out there and that you're open for business. So a really, really easy thing to do and a really easy way to show not just Google, but also ideal clients. Hey, I'm legit. I do actually exist. You're going to be a lot more hesitant as an ideal client to Google, a therapist. And then if everyone else is showing up on the local results, but this focus, there's Bella. But this therapist isn't, we don't want to do anything that would reduce trust. So make sure that you have that Google My Business profile. It's kind of just considered everyone has to do it kind of. So make sure that is in place because that's a really critical piece. Next, join Psychology Today. If you head over to Psychology Today right now, there is a free 6 months. Like they just hand out free 6-month membership. So if you have not yet tried this platform, totally free. Absolutely, no risk for you. If you have used it, and maybe you're already paying for Psychology Today, I want you to take a fresh look at your profile because I believe very strongly actually in using a directory. It doesn't work for everyone because it depends a lot on the area that you're in, how saturated your area is, what your niche is. But when it comes down to it, I believe it's $25 a month. That is a very, very, very low cost if it's even bringing you a single client per month. Stats show that a single client for a private practitioner is worth in revenue about $1,200 to $1,500. If you're paying $25 a month to bring in one client to have a $1,200 in revenue, totally worth it. So I want you to take another look at Psychology Today if you already have a profile. And if you don't, I want you to go ahead and sign up. You'll have that website where you're ready to lead people. You'll have your practice messages that you can basically just pop in there, massage a little bit and go ahead and push forward with. I have an entire training on how to write an effective Psychology Today profile. It's linked in that PDF. So go revisit that. I worked with a member of our group named Lori. We actually met because she'd asked for some feedback on her Psychology Today profile. I gave her some feedback. I then did the training. She implemented some more of those changes. I revisited it. We worked a little bit in this group, which I'm happy to do with you, kind of back and forth. She sent me an email and she said, I have gotten six new inquiries in the last week and I'm almost fully booked. Should I keep my Psychology Today profile open once my books are full? She went from not having enough clients to pay her bills all the way to being fully booked because of the changes she implemented in her Psychology Today profile. So I want you to revisit this. Please don't write off directories. There's a lot of opinions out there, but I have seen the results from it. And it really is just a matter, again, of your words, of knowing what to say in order to connect with that ideal client and to get them to know, like, and trust you. So please definitely use that. This is very low hanging fruit. Like I talked about, $25 a month for one client, totally worth it. Even if you only got one client every 2 months, still worth it. So definitely revisit Psychology Today if you're already on it, and if you're not, make sure to get over there. Now, the third thing you're going to do in this week is reach out to 3 to 5 of those contacts. You wrote that list, and I want you to think of 3 to 5 that are in your local area that you can reach out to. And I just want you to be really intentional about practicing that elevator pitch, which is one of those practice messages that we talked about. And you're not going into these conversations, you're not sending these emails or sitting down for coffee with these folks trying to make a sales pitch. The reason I want you to feel really good about your elevator pitch is because that elevator pitch communicates your value. I want you to feel very confident about what it is that you provide, who it is that you work with, and ultimately the results that you're providing those ideal clients as you work with them. So I want you to just make a point of intentionally reaching out to 3 to 5 of those contacts in this week. That might be via email. Like I said, you might be inviting them to coffee, but where you let them know, hey, I have recently refocused my private practice, or I have launched a new private practice where I serve X people, helping them do Y result. If you can say that statement, you will be memorable in their mind. You will have been specific enough because you've done that hard work niching down, where you can now say, hey, I do this. You can claim that, and they will remember exactly what it is that you do. If you simply just said, hey, I just launched a private practice. If you know anyone that needs therapy, send them my way. That's not gonna land. That's not gonna, be memorable to them. So instead, if you say, hey, I have, I'm launching, or I've relaunched my private practice. I'm working specifically with X people, and I help them do Y result. If you know of anyone that might benefit from that, will you keep me in mind? So easy. And of course they will, because these contacts that I've had you list out are contacts that you already have a relationship with. If you choose to reach out to physicians in the future, or cold contacts, people that you don't yet have a relationship with, you're going to want to approach that differently. But what we're talking about in this 6-week plan are people that are already in your circle. And chances are, if they're already in your circle, you already have some trust and some rapport built up with them, and you can lean on that. And so you can just build on the fact that you already have relationship, let them know that you're focused, that you're serving a certain group of people and doing it well, and they will keep you in mind. So reach out to 3 to 5 of those folks. And now we're at week 6. Now what do? I want you to reach out to 3 to 5 more people. I want you to make that a practice for the following weeks, for as long as it takes to reach out to everyone in your circle. Every professional possible referral source should know about you. It is simply, it's silly for them not to, right? If someone could send a client your way, why wouldn't you let them know that you've done the hard work of figuring out what it is that you do, and that you want to be on their radar if they have anyone to send you. It's just silly not to. This is, like we said, low-hanging fruit. It'd be silly if we didn't pick the fruit that's hanging right there in the form of people that are within your circle. So week 6, you're going to reach out to 3 to 5 more clients. Week 7, week 8, week 9, you're going to keep on doing that. Just make a point of sending a couple emails or having a couple coffee dates each week where you reconnect with these people that are already in your circle. And then in week 6, I want you to start thinking about what ongoing strategies you're going to be implementing in your business, in your private practice. Like I mentioned, marketing is not just set it and forget it. There are a couple things like Google Your Business, like Psychology Today, that can be a little bit more on autopilot. But in order to really grow your practice, you're not able to just depend on those set it and forget it tactics. You have to be an active participant in the marketing of your business. And it's also not one size fits all. You'll find a lot of experts out there right now. And again, this is another reason I created this group. There's a lot of experts out there telling you have to do a certain thing in order to grow your practice. That's not true. That's not true. If you were to survey 100 therapists, they would have 100 different ways that they grew their practice. So you do not have to do exactly what you saw your colleague do or exactly what this person in this Facebook group is telling you to do. It really is about what makes sense for you, what makes sense for your budget, what makes sense for your ideal client. If you're a grief counselor, you're not going to be reaching people in the same place that you would if your ideal client was a 21-year-old, single woman. So I really want you to think about what marketing strategies am I willing to invest in over time? That might be social media. Maybe you're social media savvy. You enjoy that. You know that your ideal client is a heavy social media user. If you're looking for 21-year-old single women, of course, Instagram, social media is a great place to start. So social media might be one. Blogging, if you like to write, blogging is really great from an SEO perspective and is really great when it comes to clients learning to trust you. I have a whole Marketing Advice Monday on that. Maybe you are interested in paid ads. You'd like to put a little bit of money behind your marketing strategy, and you would like to be really targeted in reaching your target audience via Google or Facebook, something like that. Maybe email marketing makes a lot of sense for your ideal client and for what you do. You'd like to kind of nurture your potential clients so that you kind of have a full, what we call pipeline or funnel at all times. People that you can continue reaching out to with, hey, here's a coping skill if you encounter this in your week. You can kind of provide content and ongoing marketing that way, forming a relationship over time. Maybe SEO makes a lot of sense for you and you'd like to dive into the nitty gritty of SEO if you're a really technical person, or you'd like to put some money behind helping, asking someone to come alongside you and optimize your site and your strategies there. There's a lot of options out there, but in this week and in the final week of your 0 to launch, it's time to start thinking about what your ongoing marketing strategy is going to look like. And it is different for everyone, like I said. But the one thing that I just really want to impress upon you is that you do not need to be everywhere to be effective. That is a big marketing myth out there, that you must be loud and you must be present on every platform all the time in order to be effective. And it's simply not true. Instead, what I want you to do is pick 1 to 2 strategies, 1 to 2 things, if that's social media and blogging or paid ads and email, whatever that might be. And I want you to get really good at those 1 to 2 things. I want you to get really, really good at them and devote yourself to them and commit to them. This is exactly what I do with my clients as I build out their custom marketing plans. We put together a plan and then I give them an actionable plan, much like what I've walked you through here today, over 12 weeks, where they implement those 1 to 2 strategies and do it really, really well, be really, really excellent, right, at those 1 to 2 things. And that is where you will see results. If you instead try to spread yourself really, really thin across all of those strategies and more, you won't do any of them well, and you won't see results from any of them. Instead, if you do one or two and you do them very, very well, that is where you'll start to see the wheels turn and really start to see clients start to come in on a regular and consistent basis because you are showing up regularly and consistently in those ways. So in this week 6, you're going to finally start to think about, okay, what's this going to look like on an ongoing basis? You have set the foundation, you have built a website, you have written the messages, you know who you serve, you've leveraged your existing network, and you're going to continue doing that over the next couple weeks. And now it's time, you're on Psychology Today and Google your business. Now it's time to think about, okay, what am I going to do on an ongoing basis? What makes sense for me? And I want you to put together a plan for yourself of how you're going to do that, committing to just one or two of those things and doing them really, really well. Because it's when you do that clients will start to notice you. They will start to notice your consistency, and that's what your clients are looking for. Your clients, when they want, when they are looking out, seeking out therapy, it's because they've identified a need in their own life, and they're looking for someone that will show up consistently in their life in order to help them become a better version of themselves. So if you can be consistent and show up consistently in your marketing, you are showing them that you are capable of doing that in the relationship that you have with them. So you're already a natural marketer because you're a good connector, but you need to implement that same exact methodology and that same exact approach when you think about marketing yourself. This is the 6-week plan, like I said, that I take my own clients through. It's exactly the advice that I would give to you if we were meeting in a coffee shop and working together, formally. So I want you to know that this is coming from a very good place. This is coming from years of marketing advice that I have seen implemented from businesses of all sizes. And this stuff works. And if you follow this 6-week plan, you'll start to see the needle move, and you'll start to see overall just how you're simplifying your plan. If you have those marketing messages, if you have that website that you can trust, you don't have to spend your time always tweaking it and always going back and trying to figure out who it is that you serve and how to talk about it. You have that foundation. So now you can move forward in faith and in confidence about what it is that you do and start really just getting yourself out there. So if you have more comments, I am happy to hang out a little bit and answer them here on the live, or we can chat a little bit later as you think about this and watch a little bit later. So I really, really, really enjoyed you guys watching. Drop your comments into the comment bar there if you'd like to chat a little bit more. If this is something that you're really struggling with and you'd love to just have some dedicated time, I offer a totally free strategy session on my website. I will pop the link into the comments. You can schedule 30 minutes with me and tell me a little bit about what you do, and we can tease out what your next steps should be and how you can start really moving the needle in your practice. So I have so enjoyed this time with you guys. Thanks for sticking it out with me. I know this one is a little bit longer, but I hope it was helpful, and we will chat soon.